What are some effective listening techniques for better communication?
I mean, this is the one approach that a lot of people, including myself, struggle with, but it is the other side of communication. Communication only happens when someone's speaking and someone's listening, and it goes both ways. That's how you properly communicate as a human being. And a lot of times we negate or circumvent around one of those two things where it's always the one person speaking and always one person receiving. And that's a lopsided relationship. It's not healthy. Or it's both people speaking at each other and no one listening. Also unhealthy and not good for the relationship. Or you just have two listeners that just don't talk about anything. That's also unhealthy and not good for the relationship. So all of those things, unless it's in proper order where you have speakers and listeners and they go back and forth, that's the only way that you have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Make sure that there's some balance to who gets to speak and who's listening.
For the purpose of understanding.
So some ways in which to listen well would be timeliness. I should say this. Timeliness is also important, but just making time in general for you to receive what your spouse desires to say to you.
That's a good point. So if your spouse is beginning a conversation that you can already tell that you don't have the time and space to really give them your full attention, you might need to say, hey, I care about what you have to say, but right now I'm trying to get out the door in the next 10 minutes.
Right. So therefore, I would like for us to mark down a time later this evening, the next day, where I can fully be present to receive whatever you want to tell me. I think that's super important. So make time to listen. Make time to receive. If you care about that person, you'll receive what they want to communicate to you. Another way to listen better is to not translate.
I struggle with this one.
Yeah, a huge problem in a lot of communication is we will hear and then we will translate what we think the other person said instead of paying attention to the words that came out of their mouth. Yeah. Because out of our mouth springs our heart in the words that we said, in the way that we said it. And I think sometimes because we know each other well, because we've navigated our relationship thus far, we sometimes correctly assume things from the way someone says something and attach more motive or more other things to the words being spoken just from our knowledge of the person. So we're like, okay, you said that you desire me to take out the trash. What I'm getting from that is you desire me to be more of the man of the house who takes the trash out. And you're like, I didn't say that. I just really could use some help taking the trash out.
So a key thing to do is when you listen, ask questions. So you're not assuming.
Right. That's after.
After what?
After you actually listen and receive the words that someone is saying in the way they're saying it.
Okay.
I would say before you ask questions, you should repeat back to them what they said. This does two things. One, it respects their words and their heart behind the words by you communicating it directly. I heard exactly what you said, and I'm repeating it back to you so you know, without a doubt, that I heard you and listened to you well. That communicates a lot of things just by you repeating back to them what they said.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, you can say, now what did you mean by this part? That's when you can ask questions. But I think if you start with that respectable, hey, let me communicate back to you what you said.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes of your ability to listen well to your spouse.
Yeah. Your spouse knows that you have their full attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You are showing yourself someone that listens well. You are showing yourself someone that is present. Because we can say like, no, I'm here. What's on my phone? We're in the proximity to that person, but we're not there. Only through, I think, kind of this repeating back to them what they're saying, then asking questions like you said, do we show that we're there?
Yes.
I think outside of that, our spouse just doesn't know. And we really need to make them aware so that they can bring down their defenses and have a more open dialogue because they know you're there with them.
Yeah, that will definitely bring down defenses when you realize that your spouse is listening to understand the heart behind what you're saying, that they actually care to hear you. Yeah. it helps you know that they care.
Yeah.
And then you won't be ready for a fight as much.
Yes.